shows Al-Qaeda and the Al-Qaeda 2.0 folks, ISIL, that we're divided and that we're easy targets, that we don't have the will to defeat them, because that's what they know. In fact, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed told me personally, your country will turn on you. The liberal media will turn on you. The people will grow tired of this. They will turn on you. And when they do, you are going to be abandoned.
An eerie, prophetic moment there. That was former Air Force psychologist James Mitchell, who waterboarded Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Karl Rove, who was White House chief of staff at the time, joins us now to discuss. What's your
He was on the staff.
To that?
I was the deputy.
Yeah.
No, wasn't the chief. That was Andy Card and Josh Bolton.
I mean, when you hear those words and you hear that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed himself said the liberal media is going to turn on you, they're going to know you can't handle this. And now it's happening. Unfortunately, that's prophetic.
Yeah. Look, it's also, I thought, first of all, that was unbelievably powerful television. And I'm so delighted that Dr. Mitchell came forward in a public way.
He got freed up over the weekend.
Well, look, this is a hero. This is a patriot. This is a man who, in a dark moment for our country, stepped forward and took extraordinary steps to help keep us safe. But it is also illustrative of the fact that our enemy, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and others, they understand American society. They study American society.
Right.
They look for vulnerabilities in our society, and it is, and you know, we underestimate Al Qaeda and the terrorists, the jihadists, at our own peril.
And he was so observant. He knew that eventually the liberal left media would turn on the good guys, and here we are.
And remember his initial expectation. When he is captured in Pakistan, he taunts his American captors by saying, "I'll see you in New York with my lawyer present." Right. He thought this was going to be an episode of, you know, Law and Order, and he was going to be have a high-priced defense attorney who could get him off.
Still, a Pew poll shows 51% of the American people are for the enhanced interrogation that we've been all hearing about.
Well, they're for torture, which is what it's described in the poll as. And this was not torture. This was carefully designed by the lawyers to be in conformity with our statutes and our international commitments. And if you need evidence of that, if you don't want to take my word for it or the word of the attorneys who wrote the Office of Legal Counsel opinion, take the word of the Holder Obama Justice Department, because President Obama ordered Holder to investigate it. He appointed a career prosecutor. They spent 3 years looking over these and found no prosecutable offenses involved.
And if any administration would want to prosecute, it would be this one, but they couldn't find anything. Last night on the Sean Hannity program, boy, if you don't watch our primetime, you miss a lot. The Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden, Rob O'Neill, was on, and he knows something about torture. He had this observation. Listen to this.
If you can walk away from it as soon as it ends, it's not torture. These are just techniques that can be used to find the truth, find him in a lie, and then exploit it.
Rob, I know that a lot of my friends that have become Navy SEALs and trained military people, they themselves went through many of these techniques that were used on people like Zubaydah and KSM. Did you have to go through any of that in your training?
Oh, yeah. They use all kinds of techniques on us that make it very, very uncomfortable. We have stuff that's called surf torture, drown proofing, things like that. And if some of these Human Watch people actually saw SEAL training, they'd probably try to cancel it.
If you can walk away from it, it ain't torture.
Well, technically that's not accurate, because statutorily one of the tests is there a imminent threat of death? This is, for example, that would rise to the level of torture, and as a result was not involved in the kind of techniques that were used on these high-value targets. But an interesting point, remember, tens of thousands of people in the Air Force have gone through SARE, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, which involves waterboarding. Now, the Navy SEALs go through BUDS training, in which they are subjected to a whole series of things that would violate our statutory requirements against torture.
What stands out, too, is because in the report, the Democratic report, they said, well, the Bush administration wasn't informed, the vice president and president, and both of them came back and said, we were informed. Yeah. We knew exactly. Yeah, so there was your out. You could have taken, but you didn't.
How idiotic was that? Because in the report, in a footnote, they say, well, Bush was apparently not informed of these techniques until 2006. And yet, in his own book, issued several years ago and available at any public library, the president outlined outlines how he, at the time, was advised of the necessity for these, that he ordered it to be reviewed by lawyers, that the options were presented to him, that he said you can use 10 of them but not 2 others, and authorized this, and then describes the advantages of these and how we got actionable intelligence that's kept America safe. This led to Jose Padilla. This led to stopping the attack on the Canarian Wharf business district in London. It stopped the attack on Heathrow. It stopped the attack that was going to be mounted by a cell of 17 people from Southeast Asia using airplanes on the west coast of the United States, and lots of others that have never become public. Stopped attacks on U.S. military and diplomatic installations abroad. And the president puts this in his book, and these idiots at the Senate Intelligence Committee don't have a library card that allows them to go and find the book to find out that the president was. They talk to no one.
Are you suggesting that the Democrat report in the Senate is wrong?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mark Thiessen, my former White House colleague and now columnist for the Washington Post, had a terrific column this week in which he said, look, Rolling Stone magazine is being excoriated properly for not having sought out the people who were supposedly involved in the rape incident at the University of Virginia, and yet here's the Senate Intelligence Committee staff. Same thing.
Well, they didn't go to James Mitchell. They didn't ask him anything.
No,
He's the one getting death threats now.
No one. James Mitchell's not alone. They talked to no one, and they had a phony excuse, which was, well, there was an investigation undergoing. Well, that investigation ended 2 years ago, and people like the directors of the CIA were not the subject of the investigation. They could have talked to them any time in the last 6 years where they're busily spending $40 or $50 million of our money on this monkey business.
And if Al-Qaeda didn't want to be put onto any of this, they could have done this other thing called talk. If they talk and expose their plans and plots, they wouldn't have had to do any of this.
When all of these techniques were employed, that's exactly what they did. It broke their resistance, and they began to talk, and they began to cough up vital information that kept us safe. And it's keeping us safe today.
Karl Rove.
Majority of Americans feel the same way.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Kirby Couch.
Great to be here. Happy holidays.
Thank you.